Hey guys, Happy New Year's and welcome to our final episode for 2020. We're doing a Soul review today on Nerd Impact. Um, so Nick, I think you'd agree with me. I think out of all the Disney Pixar movies, and they all have their own unique morals, like morals to the story, their own messages. I think this, not necessarily saying this was the best Pixar movie ever made, though I think it was in definitely close to the top. But I think this may have been the most important message that Pixar has ever put in a movie.
What message did you get from it?
That it's not necessarily about your purpose. It's about the little moments in life, and basically the spark that lights in your soul.
Yeah, it's about. I took it as appreciating everything around me. Well, maybe not everything, but not getting lost in and secluding and not living in a
Right.
bubble, but embracing everything else around
Right,
me.
because remember, and they even when they were in that realm where the zone, when you're in the zone, right? When you're in when you're it, so for those that haven't seen the movie, although you shouldn't be watching this if you haven't seen the movie, but for those that haven't seen the movie, if you're in the zone in this world, your soul goes goes into a realm within the afterlife because you're more connected to the spiritual realm at that point than you are to the physical like realm of the living. But you can also become a lost soul by becoming obsessive, right? There's a fine line there. And that I think a part of that ties into the whole thing that like it's not necessarily it's the most important thing isn't the purpose, isn't your purpose. The most important thing is just finding appreciation and enjoyment in living.
Yeah, you know what? That's kind of one of the things that separates being human from being a robot. You know. Like a robot has a purpose, it has a function that it has to carry out, whereas with life there's more to it.
Right. Yeah, that's why like I don't want to get into that whole conversation, but that's kind of why, Nick, I think you and I both believe there's a lot of people out there that are like afraid that one day robots will be as intelligent and as intuitive as humans, and I think you and I with our backgrounds both know that that's never going to happen.
Well, I had some crazy theories on how to make it happen.
but it really can't because a machine, an algorithm, cannot go beyond what it was programmed to do. Even if it was programmed to integrate new programs, there's still a limit to that functionality.
We can save this conversation for another
All right,
time,
so now this video is going to get into...
I really want to get into it.
So now this video is going to get into machine learning and neural networks. We're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of AI.
Let's get back to our good friends over in Seoul.
Nick, are you and I going to be taking on a project of building a fully functional automaton? A fully self-aware?
If you want to do it, I have some solid theories.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about souls of silicons. We're here to talk about souls of metaphysical ectoplasm. So, in the movie Soul, as it turns out, this guy Joe, this musician, this music teacher, who's finally got his one shot, dies falling down a manhole. Well, doesn't die. He's near death. He's basically in a coma in the hospital and refuses to move on because he finally got so close to fulfilling his purpose. But he finds he refuses to go up the escalator into the great white light beyond and falls into the great before.
Where souls come in to being.
And the souls here are, oh, how did she explain it? they're like, what was the term she used? Like theoretical concepts of what can be, or something like that.
Something like that.
But anyway, this movie was very, very intellectual, metaphysical. I think some people are going to have a hard time with this. People that are more concrete and don't have a very abstract way of thinking might struggle with this movie a little bit. And that's not a down putter. It just people think in different ways, and I think this was aimed at or assumed that people thought a certain way. So some people might not be able to get into this as much. Do you think it's fair to say?
Yeah.
But anyway, it was really cool though what they did with it, having like you had like these beings present that were kind of like the caretakers of the great before and the great beyond. And they were these more abstract. They made them look like very abstract beings. They looked like abstract art. They looked like they were designed by Picasso himself. They were like, and they're all named like,
especially Terry. I like the way Terry moved around.
They're all like Jerry and Terry and Jerry and Terry. I think they were all just named Jerry and Terry, weren't they?
All the people in or constructs in the Great Before were Jerry,
and all the constructs in the Great Beyond were.
Harry was from the Beyond. Yeah.
Well, there were two in the Great that we saw in the Great Beyond, but we didn't ever hear the other one's name. I don't think, but we would assume that it was also Terry.
I think it would be Terry too. Yeah.
But yeah. So, and I like how you had the souls before, how they would send them into different buildings where they would get their personalities. And then when they were having the training for the mentors, they showed a kind of like an intro video, an introductory video for the mentors, and the video had one that I'm a megalomaniac with that what'd she say? I'm a megalomaniac that's also very opportunistic or something.
Yeah,
it was funny. we saw some cameos in the afterlife. I think we saw Abraham Lincoln, who apparently turns out does lie occasionally. We saw there was a psychologist, right?
There was a ton of people. There was Galileo.
Yeah, Galileo.
Was Nostradamus in there?
I don't know. But and apparently also in at least one of the scenes, apparently there was also, I haven't gone back to watch this, but there was names shown at some point, like on a wall, of past souls that had mentored. So yeah, that was a cool concept. And I was going to say that we never saw what happened to the cat, but we did. So there's this big hole in the ground, or not the ground, but the metaphysical plane, the Great Before, the plane of the Great Before, that goes down to Earth, that they jump through once they get their life pass, or their Earth pass, or whatever. And
my favorite part was when Joe picked up one of the souls and jumped in.
Yeah, so Joe keeps trying to get back to Earth he grabs one of the souls and jumps in, and it keeps just depositing him back. But what was I getting at with that, Nick? You sidetracked me. Yeah,
you were in my favorite part.
They dive in at one point. Actually, no, they don't dive into that. They're in the Great Before, and a sign spinner who meditates to go to the zone.
That's his zone.
And find lost souls and free lost souls, helps them by creating a portal back to life. And so they jump through, and Joe ends up in the cat, and the 22 ends up in Joe, and then the cat ends up on the escalator to the Great Beyond. Does the cat get to go back eventually?
I think the cat does go back when Joe gets back.
Okay. Yeah, but man, it was a funny movie. It was a good movie, and it was a really heartfelt movie. Um, some other things that I liked about it was it was pretty touching when Joe realizes. Well, first you see 22 realize as she's on Earth that all this time she hasn't been able to find her spark, which everybody seems to think means a purpose, right? And it turns out she gets her life pass, not from being finding her purpose, but from finding like little joys in life while being in Joe's body. And then when she goes back, he deters her by telling her that he was the only cause of how she got her life pass, her Earth pass, or whatever it's called. And then he goes back to find her as a lost soul, and tells her that it's not true. That basically that it can come from the little moments. And then the sweetest part in this movie was when he jumps with her and tells her he'll go as far as he can with her. Thank you. He jumps through the portal with her and tells her he'll go as far as he can with her. And yes, that was really touching. And then ultimately they give him a second chance. Nick, so explain this one to me. I thought he just got himself into the zone to go back to her. But it seemed like he actually died at some point, and they had to let him go back.
Didn't he end up falling down another hole?
Did he? I can't remember that part.
I feel like he did. I'm going to rewatch it tonight.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to rewatch that, at least that part too. Because I thought he just started playing piano to get himself there, but it seems like something else happened. I love that when his escort in the zone says the captain must go down with his ship as the ship's sinking in the land of the lost or whatever, the where the lost souls go, and it just shows him in the real world throw his sign and salute
and fall back. That was great.
So, but you got to wonder though. This guy so that the street signs, the spinner on the sign spinner, he knows how to navigate the lost souls place or the zone or whatever, and he knows how to create portals going back to the life, back to life. Is he essentially immortal? Could he be immortal if he chose to be?
If he chose to pull a Joe and jump off the escalator. or he could do a soul transfer into a younger body before he even dies. Hey.
So, yeah, if you haven't seen Soul, definitely check it out. It's really, really worth a watch. And I think a lot of people that get tied up in this idea of their career being their life, and either workaholics or just people that can become obsessive just about almost anything, end up missing out. And that was a really important message. I think there's a lot of people that could hear that. So it's almost like, I would say, I mean, this is an important message for kids to get, but I'd also say this is also a really important movie for adults to watch.
I think so too. For me, at least, it was a bit of I wouldn't say an eye-opener, because I kind of had that eye-opener recently through other means, but it reinforced that.
Did it happen to be through Nerd Impact?
I can't hear your sound cut.
I said, did it happen to be through Nerd Impact?
Oh, it happened. It happened during the time of Nerd Impact, but not because of Nerd Impact.
Here, I thought we were making an impact.
Not on this soul.
Anyway, so any other thing else you want to mention about this movie, Nick?
I think we covered it.
All right, guys. Well, that'll do it for Nerd Impact for 2020. I said it before. I'll say it again. Good riddance. Hopefully next year will be much better, and hopefully you'll also see us all together in studio sooner rather than later. All right, guys.
Yes.
Nerd Impact signing off.
Stay nerdy.